talk, about the topic today?
Yes, sir. I can see the presentation. You may take the presentation forward.
Sure, thank you. I hope that all the students actually listening to this presentation, you all are safe, and hopefully will come out of this pandemic in a very positive note. Now, the topic that I like to discuss today is something that is very passionate. I have a lot of passion for this because this is sort of my area and my focus and my career. So just a brief introduction about me prior to coming into, currently I'm working as the program coordinator for the School of IT and Engineering in Curtin University, Dubai. Prior to my academic experience, I was working in the industry, cybersecurity industry, as consultants for a lot of organizations at various roles. So I'll just quickly jump into the topic. In order for us to understand the landscape of cybersecurity, what I would like to do is to split this fairly small talk into two, and what I would like to show is the before shot and the after shot of the cybersecurity landscape. So before the pandemic, news is similar to this, where the headlines always something negative, where millions of users are being affected, and huge tech organizations are facing a lot of criticism. These newses and the cyber criminals, cyber crime, cyber terrorism, cyber bullying, we always hear such terms that are used in the news, and there's a lot of negativity out there. And this, in fact, is true to a lot of extent. But at the same time, it also did provide a lot of opportunity in the cybersecurity industry. Now, for example, in India, it is estimated that there would be 67,000 job openings in 2020 alone, despite the pandemic actually happening. Now, this is by Wipro. They actually also published their report, and they had actually mentioned that the cyber skill gap has even become bigger. And furthermore, the cybersecurity market in India is still expected to grow at a huge rate. And this report was actually published before the pandemic. So before the pandemic, and there is an actual study that's done where around the globe, every 39 seconds, there is an attack that's happening. And 95% of this attack is focused on three industries, generally the government, or in the retail industry, or technology industry. All of which, you can be certain that one of them will definitely have information about you. And furthermore, when it comes to job market, before the pandemic, it was expected that there would be around 3.5 million jobs, estimated jobs around that would be available by 2021. And the cybercrime damages would reach up to $6 trillion. And that's a huge amount of money. So and in fact, when we speak about the growth rates in terms of cybersecurity, specifically the information security, a subfield in cybersecurity is sort of said to have the highest growth within the IT industry. So to summarize and to understand the before shot of the pandemic of the whole cybersecurity landscape, it was one of the fastest growing fields in IT. It was one of the best paid jobs in IT, even for entry level positions. And you could always have opportunities to work for both private and public sector because of the importance of this field. Now, what I would like to do is to shift your perspective into how some of the daily activities in our life has changed during the pandemic. Now, after the pandemic, we are more acquainted to e-commerce, and we are actually, we purchase a lot online actually. And Amazon.in has actually shown a huge increase in their sales recently. This is another study that's actually done, and this actually shows that the amount of growth for some of the categories of products has even gone up to 500% for some of the product categories when it comes to online purchases. Because people have to maintain social distancing, there are cities which are under lockdown or quarantine, so it is very difficult to physically go to stores, and when you have a safer option, why not? At the same time, there are some products and categories where there has been a dip in sales. For example, travel products. Now, with all the travel restrictions, it is very difficult for people to travel. So those sort of product categories, the sales has gone down. When it comes to ordering food, ordering groceries, clothing, electronics, you could see that there is always an increase in the number of in the sales, and the industry in general, e-commerce is doing pretty well since the pandemic. Now, another important change is the payment that we actually do. So now that e-commerce is on the increase and the trend has been rising, we no more go to physical stores to actually make payments. So it's online payments, most of them. So more necessarily, we would be using our debit cards or credit cards. Similar to that, even when we go down to a physical store, we are more happy to make those payments in a contactless manner through our mobile phones using NFC readers, or through an RFID card in your credit card that's actually installed. So contactless payments are on the increase as well. MasterCard has actually, their recent report actually shows that there is a 100% increase in the number of transactions when they compared it with 2019's data since the pandemic. Another huge change, all of you students are very much aware of this. You no more can go to your universities or schools, and it's generally distance learning. And this has been on the rise, and the United Nations Education and Scientific Cultural Organization, or UNESCO, they have actually published that about 1.16 billion students have already shifted to some mode of online distance learning during the pandemic. So that's a huge shift. Another one, when it comes to going to doctors, we at the same time, they are the heroes currently of this whole pandemic that's going on. But when we are sick, we are much more in doubt to go to these. We are more paranoid to actually go to the hospitals because of the fact that the hospitals and clinics are breeding centers for most of the coronavirus, and it's actually an additional risk factor, so we try to avoid that. And because of that, there is a huge increase in e-consultancy. And the Hello app, which is very popular in the UK, they have actually reported that since the pandemic, there is a 15 times increase in the number of users in their user base. Another important thing is no more movies or cinemas there. We actually do not go to any cinemas or theaters. So we actually shift to streaming services like Netflix and Prime Videos and things like that. And they have also actually reported that their profit has increased from, they just alone in the first quarter of 2020, they have made a profit of $709 million. And this is in the first 3 months, and their subscribers grew to 15.7 million additional users since the pandemic. So that has changed. And finally, working from home. Most of us actually now work from home, and it has been reported that now almost 88% of the organizations have asked their employees to actually work from home. And this has been a catalyst towards triggering and rethinking about how we work in the future. Now, all these different changes in our lifestyle, the one thing that's common between all of them is that it's online, and cybersecurity is seen as one of the biggest challenges. Now, there's always talk about how much damage can a virus or a simple worm that's written can actually cause. Now, just a little too, the recent one, which might be fresh in most of your minds, which is the WannaCry virus, which was released towards the end of 2017. They infected about 200,000 computers in a matter of a day. And it actually, similar to that, in 2003, there was another virus called as the Slammer virus, which was able to infect 75,000 computers in less than 10 minutes. So there has been a huge shift and change in terms of how these viruses spread across, and this has been always a problem. So this is one of the biggest challenges that the industry is facing. All our ways and how our lifestyle is now completely changed during the pandemic, and we sort of need to understand and address this. Just because of this pandemic, there are various campaigns, spear phishing and even phishing campaigns that's out there, where the hackers or intruders are trying to infect you by saying that there is a cure, you got to download something, or they speak about tax refund, or provide information saying that now it's airborne, you need to click some link, and you will figure out that the link is actually pointing towards something else. And some of them actually mention that they have you need to follow these safety measures. It's from the World Health Organization, and they actually provide you a download link, etc. And some of them actually go the straight route and say that, hey, we are actually WHO or the authority in that country, please donate to us. And they would actually provide you a Bitcoin link or something of that sort, where you are actually, where people would think that they are actually supporting the cause, but instead they are actually paying down an intruder or a hacker. Similar to that, it's even SMSs are now being surging a lot, and there has been a huge increase in terms of the SMSs that's being received. Now, all this thing has actually caused a lot of stir in the media related to cybersecurity. In fact, in the US, this is the last 10 years or so where hospitals and clinics have been targeted by hackers, which has caused severe problems. Now, during the WannaCry attack, which I mentioned just a couple of minutes ago, around 600 operations had to be delayed because surgeries had to be delayed because of the ransomware. All of their machines were held hostages. About 90,000 appointments of the patients had to be cancelled because of the same as well. So this has caused a huge problem. And currently, the first quarter of 2020, since the pandemic, or just a month before the pandemic, it still shows that healthcare is still one of the most targeted sectors when it comes to ransomwares. And they are an industry who's having huge problems when it comes to cybersecurity. Now, when it comes to our economy, we have heard news in the market saying that the economy is failing. There's huge issues around everywhere. It's a record low, which we have never seen before. And almost every single industry that you could think of, they are having some level of drop in terms of their revenue or sales, or they are facing much more adverse effects. Like some of them have even shut down. Including some of the huge, now think about the huge airline industry and things like that, where they're actually on the verge of bankruptcy or have already filed for bankruptcy. Now, what about cybersecurity? Now, there was one study which was done during the pandemic, and they have actually sort of projected that the cybersecurity industry is still expected to grow like before, that we would still reach up to 230 billion US dollars by 2021, and they are still expected project growth of 12%, which was very similar to the previous forecast. Yes, so there has been a neutralizing effect in almost all the industries, but cybersecurity is still projected to grow, and the curve is still going to go up. Now, at Curtin Dubai, we actually offer Bachelor of Science in Cybersecurity, and it's a 3-year program. It's like any other degree. It's a 3-year program, but unlike any other university, we have sort of a different approach when it comes to teaching cybersecurity. Now, cybersecurity needs to be really hands-on, and it's a skill. It's there is a huge theory behind all of this, but obviously it's really highly practical, and we tend to focus on that. So the first year you're introduced to most of the theoretical concepts of how systems work. The second year, the focus is on how you defend these systems. And the third year, you go into the interesting aspect of how do you attack these systems. So it's a very well structured course, and I hope that all of you have enjoyed this little talk. And thank you so much, students and everyone.